Digital Ethics, a tool to bring values in decision making. Hi, I'm Dr. Prabodh Mistry, and it's been my life's work to understand and teach values because they drive our decisions and behavior, and increasingly our machines too. I have shown how values can be defined using position coordinates on a chart with love categories on the horizontal axis and truth categories on the vertical axis. So we can place values on it like this. Or do away with the chart and simply use the coordinates to retain their meaning. This will also allow us to digitalize all values for computerized decision aid tools. Good decisions can be made by aligning good values at knowledge, thought, and action levels. Our inner morality is based on alignment of values between our knowledge and thought, whereas our outer ethics are based on alignment between our thought and actions. Notice how the actual alignment of values can be measured at each level in terms of the percentage offset from the ideal 100%. So when action is based on love but without truth, the overall alignment metric P, which is the product of the three, is 75%. But if your thought is also aligned to love without truth, then the overall alignment becomes 56%. When faced with a vast complexity of facts and reasoning, we make decisions that are good enough rather than optimal. The renowned economist Herbert Simon called this bounded rationality, which is when our self-interest may creep into decision-making and take a shortcut. But we need to move towards what Aristotle called the practical wisdom, which is about figuring out what the right action is. So I am sharing this value-based approach that allows us to do just that by balancing values based on emotion and rationality. It is done by applying values in two dimensions. So let's draw the axis first. Love, positive in this direction towards unconditional love. Truth, positive in this direction towards absolute truth. Negative love or hate in this direction, and negative truth in this direction. These are four demarcation points on leading diagonals. Then we have a circle, t squared equals 2 minus l squared, going through the 4 points, and a reciprocal, t equals minus 1 over l, between l values of minus 1 and 0, and the same function between 1 and infinity, where L represents love and T represents truth. The overall function based on human values is then described by this line. The region close to the center represents self-centeredness or selfishness zone, related to instant or short-term gains based on positive or negative values. Extending outwards to the top right, it becomes the zone of enlightened selfishness, as defined by the philosopher Bertrand Russell. Values in this zone are based on a longer-term consideration of self-interest in a conscious and mindful manner. Typical values here are understanding and valuing greater good. To the bottom left is the zone of ignorant selfishness, characterized by disregard for the consequences of one's actions on others. Typical values here are lack of empathy, self-centeredness, and closed-mindedness. These are transition zones between the two extremes. This vast region is the spiritual zone based on extensive love and truth, which acknowledges that there is something greater than what we can comprehend ordinarily. This area represents instances when steadfast truth could compromise love, and this area represents instances when white lies might be acceptable provided they are well-intentioned. Let me illustrate. Imagine you come across a woman running in fear, and she's looking for somewhere to hide. You allow her in your house. Soon, a man wielding a knife comes and asks if you have seen the woman. What will you do? If you tell the truth, the woman may be harmed. That would go here. But if you tell a lie, You can savour from any harm. That goes here. We face lesser or greater dilemmas in a variety of situations. At home, for instance, how will you react when your child has made his first cake for you? At work, when you may be under pressure to show your company in the best possible light despite its poor environmental record? In society, to support good people without any fear or peer pressure? When it comes to diet, are you making light of inconvenient facts about animal cruelty or greenhouse gas emissions? When it comes to environmental protection, are you dictated by your interests or ideals? Your decisions will benefit from such value based analyses, especially when it is a grey or borderline issue. The hardest part may often be to act on the decision. Moving along this diagonal represents the balanced path of love and truth. I call this the golden diagonal as it helps to overcome trivial conflicts in our mind and leads to human excellence by reaching our deeper self. We are all guided along this path. It may be our parents first, then teachers, established religions, philosophies, a role model, or we could take a completely different path, but eventually we can reach this ultimate goal. This is only possible when we live in and around positive values. This area is boundless, but let's keep to its simpler representation. So, this represents the sum total of my model, where love and truth are linked in infinite ways to define all the values we can ever think of, be they linked to our knowledge, thought, or actions. It can be used as a tool to apply values in common language or digitally, to aid decisions in numerous ways, such as to teach values at home or at school, to demonstrate or debate what is the right action, in cognitive behavioral therapy and in gaming, to program ethics in robots, and to aid decisions in autonomous systems like driverless cars. The three levels of knowledge, thought, and actions can be considered as policy, people, and practice when it comes to analyzing values at group level, such as in business ethics, environmental, social, and governance of organizations, media reporting, domestic and international politics, and much more.